I'm Johnny Smith.
I'm Richard Porter.
And this is Smith and Sniff, a podcast in which two friends talk about cars and loads of other things.
Loads.
We're in a showman's caravan.
In a showman's trailer.
At the weekend off of Goodwood Festival and all that.
Yeah. Hi, guys. It's Friday night.
Yes.
Friday of Goodwood. We are in a showman's trailer in a field near Goodwood.
Yes.
You might hear...
The pending storm warning.
Yeah, so as we record this, we don't know what's happening tomorrow. There are rumours swirling that the Festival of Speed may be cancelled.
Which I don't know if it ever has.
No, I'm not sure.
Apart from the COVID spec.
Yeah.
But,
So forgive us that we sort of could be we don't know what's happened over the weekend, but we can tell you what we've been up to. Hopefully you may have already seen what we've been up to, recording videos for Goodwood's YouTube channel.
Yeah,
we might have mentioned. So we've been here since when have we been here?
Well, Wednesday night is when we arrived at the Airbnb together. We rendezvoused.
Oh, yes.
Me in the base model Citroen C3 on hubcaps. Yes. You in the sensibly coloured Lexus electric vehicle.
Yeah, I've got a Lexus UX Pure Electric 300E, which is I'm testing and writing about and reviewing because it has a bigger battery now.
Yeah, It needed it.
Yes, although I noticed the battery isn't quite big enough to be able to get me home tomorrow, I think. Unless...
Well, after we've recorded this podcast, you can give it a tickle on the 3-pin. And then it will trip. Then it will trip the entire caravan out.
The only 3-pin socket I can see in here, which I've plugged my phone into already, isn't quite attached to the wall.
Oh yeah, I have noticed that.
It's not reassuring.
Massive shout out to the caravan owners, Lewis and Vicky. Thanks again for giving us this amazing facility.
Yeah, sorry for slagging off these plug sockets.
Yeah.
But yeah, we are here in person. Goodwood, our 2 days at Goodwood have been a mixed bag because Thursday weather was pretty good.
Warm, mild.
Yeah.
People were sitting outside.
Sitting outside, which was lovely.
Yeah, it was. It was great.
We had to blag our way. We were filming, weren't we? We were wandering around. We had to blag our way into the Porsche hospitality because we saw one of the PR guys sitting outside, and we attracted his attention. And I said to him, "Please, can I just come in and sit down?
Yeah.
I don't want any free booze. I don't want any food. I just want to come in and sit down."
You were honest.
My back hurts.
Yeah, we were quite broken.
Yeah,
and I'm actually quite broken now.
You are broken now.
I'm sinusy. I feel like I've got a common cold coming on, spooling up. Basically, I've got a cold spooling up. So it's spooling up, and what I've done is I've taken some cold and flu plus caplets.
Ooh, bloody hell.
Wow, that was a big gust of wind.
The van
actually swayed, and this is a serious caravan.
Yeah.
On double tyres, it's on lorry axles.
Is it?
Because it's a showman's caravan. It's got like a bogie at the front.
Oh, yeah.
It's got a turny bogie thing.
I went over that end of it to have a wee outside just now, and I noticed it's still got long vehicle signs attached to that end. I'd never noticed that.
Yeah. It was travelling up until it was purchased.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, no,
there we go.
It's a big unit, but it just wobbled in quite a significant way. So that's good. Yes, you're a bit ropey.
I'm a bit ropey, so excuse me if I sound a bit sinusy or maybe just mildly broken.
Well, also because I'm a bit base level.
Yeah.
A bit because we've just been talking for 2 days, haven't we?
Yeah, thanks to everyone that came up to us and whispered, or didn't whisper, actually shouted or heckled words like "otsot." Find another
was shouted a few times.
We had it and pointing, shouting and pointing. Yeah. Find another.
And thank you to whoever we were doing today. We were just starting a piece to camera at the opening of our
the supercar paddock.
No, it was the one where we were in the first glance paddock. And we had to do our opening bit where we go, "Hi, I'm this and I'm that, and here we are, and it's this." And I was doing my bit of going, "We're here in the first glance paddock," and someone walked by and just shouted, "Spout!" in the background, and it really threw me off. When that video is published, I don't know when that'll be out. It's probably after the Festival of Speed now, but when that comes out, I don't know if the mics picked it up. We'll see. But also apologies to the man. Well, sort of apologies to the man who this morning, parking in those big fields,
massive fields that are probably quite muddy right now.
Despite setting off in plenty of time, we turned up. We were supposed to. Our call time was 8 o'clock. I pulled into that field at 8. Parked. Was just gathering my stuff. Guy in an Audi pulled in next to me, but he pulled in really close.
Like 10 inches from the door.
Well, you could open the door, but it was just close. Bearing in mind it's a field, everyone tends to park a respectful, non-dinging distance away. And he pulled, but I was on the phone to you, and so I was going, anyway, so what the fuck? And he saw me doing that.
He saw you mouth it.
Yeah, he was obviously quite good at lip reading. It doesn't take much to work out when someone. So then I got out, and he went, "Oh, I'm really sorry." And I was a bit stressy, and I had a coffee, and I went, "Well, it's not Tesco, is it? We're in a field. You can't throw me around." No, I'm sorry. It's just I saw the guy waving us in. There was a marshal waving him in, and he just sort of very literally followed the marshal into a space that's too close. But anyway, so sorry for being a bit narky about that, but we were a bit stressed for being, because we were late the first morning.
Yeah, we were. Well, it took me an hour and a half today to do 8 miles. Won't dwell on it. I've just noticed right next to us is an airbed, which I'll be sleeping on in a few hours. And it's flocked.
What?
It's flocked on this side. Look, it says on the package, double flocked airbed.
Double flocked. Flocking.
So is there anything that you can think of that's flocked apart from rally dashboards and that airbed? Where... See it?
Another real look. Oh, there's a nice bit of flocking though.
Well, it's double flocked.
Double flock. How do you double flock?
When you flock and then wait a while, and then you flock again, don't you? If you don't succeed during your first flock, you flock again.
And flock again. But then rally dashboards are always I feel like can be quite thickly flocked.
Yeah, they are.
So are they double, maybe even triple flocked?
And flocking is a real art because it involves negatively charging the flocks, because there's little tiny hairs. Stop mocking the process. No, it's actually quite.
Actually, I'm going to have to admit right now, I don't actually know how flocking works.
Well, I know. There's a guy in fact, I'm going to do it now. There's a guy on my phone who's like Captain Flock. What's his name? You think he's called Raj? He's amazing at flock. He's like the Britain's leading flocker. Yeah, I kid you not. Hang on, he's in my WhatsApp.
Is he, or is his mum better because she's the mother flocker?
Yeah, hang on, here he is.
Yeah.
What's the name of his business? Hang on.
Why do you have a flocking man in your phone?
Hey?
Why?
Because he's going to do some flocking for me. He's
what are you having flocked?
I'm going to have the Allegro dashboard flocked.
Are you?
Yeah, the reason being, there's a crack in the top of it because being British Leyland, they twist and they warp. And they're actually hard to find intact dashboards. And I thought, if I get it, you can get it flocked in almost any colour you want. I can get it flocked in a matching brown to what was the vinyl dashboard. It might be a little, really subtle motorsport hat tip.
Yeah.
But it'll solve the problem of having a cracked dash top as well.
Yeah.
And he flocks so well. Yeah, it's Raj.
Just like the dashboard in the Allegro 6R4.
Oh,
Imagine that.
An Allegro 6R4.
Yeah.
Well,
I just invented a fantasy car. Someone will AI generate an image of that now.
Well,
at least I hope they will.
Well, Retro Power.
Yeah.
The Buzznuts in Hinckley, who make astonishing resto mods.
Yeah.
They are building 2 pretty much blank check Allegro resto mods for a well-heeled customer who's also commissioned.
What, for the same customer?
They're brothers.
Oh, okay.
And they've commissioned 6 cars. They haven't told me what the last 2 are, but there's a pair of Agros and a pair of Princesses.
What?
And they are blank check resto mods.
Oh my god!
I've seen some of the renderings for the Princess.
Yeah.
And they are unholy.
Oh, is this the Princess you've told me about, or is this a separate one?
It's a separate Princess.
Bloody hell!
Yeah, it's all kicking off.
Sounds like it.
There's people building rapid BL chariots all over. I love
This just reminded me of something that happened last night. You're talking about brothers. Do you remember when we were desperately searching for food along the south coast?
Yeah.
Or sort of approaching the south coast? We were staying in a little place called Selsey.
Selby or Selby?
Selby.
Yeah.
I still can't get it right. I keep thinking it's called Selby or something because Selby sounds made up.
Selby is a place, but
Selby
it's not.
is up north.
It's in the Wirral or something, isn't it? Or
Oh, I thought it was in Yorkshire, but no. The
Oh,
York
maybe it's-
Derby Notts. Coalfield is Selby not. Oh, God.
going back to before we sorry to interrupt. Flock.
Yes.
Raj at Auto Flock Motorsport.
Okay.
He's the man. Autoflock.co.uk.
Great.
He's not paying me to say that. I know he's good.
Okay.
Everyone who's anyone says if you're getting flocking stuff done, speak to Raj.
Right,
He's
so
the
just
man.
explain to me how flocking works. You negatively charge the flock.
You have to negatively, and then you have to then positively charge the item that it's going to adhere to.
But how do you do that if it's, say, a pencil or a tissue box or something, where you can't?
I can't really remember, but Raj knows.
Because if it doesn't conduct a current, how does an Allegro dashboard conduct a current?
I can't remember.
Okay,
It's just you're asking me
keep
questions
asking
live.
questions until you break.
I can't remember,
Okay.
but all I know is to get it. It looks easy, and there are DIY kits, and in
Okay.
Raj's words, they're all quite shit. So he said, what usually happens is people do it DIY, realise they've ruined it, and then they call him.
Does it? I imagine if you do it badly, does it then all just brush off?
It brushes off. It's patchy, so it's a bit like you trying to cut your own hair.
Well, I
It
have
never
done that. Yeah, so you
quite
always miss a
works.
bit. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
patchy. There's
Yeah.
low points. There's high points. So he says that it basically it's a bit like being a really accomplished painter, a car painter. You have to apply it evenly, but the skill is because this stuff it's like threads of hairs.
Yeah.
They're strands, so they don't all lie in. You want them to lie in the same way. They don't, and they won't all lie in the same way if you put too much adhesive on, and if you haven't. Oh, look! Listen, this is
It's
just
okay.
so technical. But all you need to know is if you're going to flock and you want to flock well, try not to do it yourself. Get someone who knows what they're doing.
Yeah. Okay. It's a fair point.
I'm glad I've cleared that up, and the listeners are just over the moon about it.
I bet they are. Well,
All this flockery.
Flocking.
Every time I see a motorsport dash, I just
Yeah.
point and shout "flock." Because it's just fact. It's fact. You're not lying. Just pointing and saying it. Flocked.
No, so last night we were heading back towards our Airbnb in Chelsea, and on what happened on Wednesday night,
Oh,
we
gosh.
discovered that nowhere in Chelsea was still serving food
No.
at the absolutely unreasonable time of 9 o'clock.
Yeah, the clock struck 9 and everything that sells food just stopped.
I don't know. Maybe we're being big city folk. Except,
Well, I'm not though, am I?
no, you're not. I suppose I'm not really anymore. But yes, it was that thing where it's everywhere it stopped serving food. Even pubs were still open, but they weren't
Yeah.
doing food. Chef's gone home.
Yeah.
It's 8:55. What's he up to?
Yeah.
But we did find a curry house. That was all fine. So-
Although we ate very late, and we
Yeah.
can all relate to this if you're listening. You know, when you have a large dinner and then it's late, so you're pretty much finishing dinner and then going to bed. There's not much in between, and your tummy is as tight as a drum, isn't it? And I couldn't lie down for ages. I was actually massaging my stomach just to
Oh.
try and get the cauldron working.
I think the walk home helped.
The walk home helped immensely.
If you know Chelsea, the curry house is at one end of the sort of high street, and we were staying sort of past towards the sea, basically.
We never saw the sea.
Well, we saw it from a distance, and we kind of know what it looks like already.
We,
Big grey twat,
but we
as we've
because
established in previous episodes.
because we stayed in a seaside related sort
Oh,
of
yes.
annex of someone's house, Airbnb spec. How much nautical accessorising was there in the rooms? I mean, it was a huge accessorising of the nautical nature.
So, just an absolute classic. As we mentioned before on the podcast about coastal rental properties, inexplicably are always decorated with coastal themed shit.
But it's overly coastal.
And as I believe you pointed out when we mentioned this, it was a live show, wasn't it? It's like you don't have an Airbnb in London and find it's been decorated with pictures of stabbings. So why is it that all coastal properties have to have pictures of the sea and seagulls and fucking driftwood? It's just bizarre.
Someone had cut a big piece of MDF in the shape of a lighthouse and written, I don't know, Sandy Paradise on it.
What was it? No, it's that one. It was very nice, by the way. The beds were comfortable.
Yeah, we're sounding like right slags.
It was a perfectly nice place to stay, but the coastal art is just it's a bit much. And there was that thing in the kitchen. Well, actually, there was so much coastal art on the wall that when you were trying to find the light switch,
I kept
pressing bits of art.
I kept pressing a box. It was like a box canvas that said something like "Life is best by the sea" or something.
There was another one that said something like "Smell the salty air," and you just went, "I don't want to. I just want to turn the fucking lights on."
I just couldn't find the light in the kitchen.
You became convinced that the light switch was hidden because someone had put some more shit coastal art over it. It turns out the light switch was in fact probably far away from the room that it controlled.
Well, we left anyway. We left our Airbnb to get a desperate late night curry. We noticed a few interesting coastal cars.
Oh yeah,
we saw a Volvo 9 Series.
Yeah, with possibly malfunctioning self-leveling rear.
Yeah, it was dragging the bum, wasn't it? It had a tow bar, so it led a heavy tow bar life.
So. Maybe that didn't have self-leveling. It's just that a heavy towing life had gradually. Because there's still leaf springs on those, aren't they?
Are they?
Wait, was it a
960? It was a 960, I think.
Maybe not then. No, wait, on the estate they were. I think only the saloon got the fancier rear end. So. And
you've just reminded me, today in the Goodwood car park, there was a Discovery 2 with the most saggy arse.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Oh, it was proper hydrofoiling. it just looked like, like a pre-runner truck, but unintentional.
Yeah.
Honestly, proper dog with worms. If it goes over a humpback, not a humpback bridge, if it goes over a speed ramp, the tow bar will get all of the grinding.
Oh, there'll be spark.
It'll spark out.
So this is the thing. We noticed in the immediate vicinity of the Airbnb, there was a Volvo 760, and then hiding across the street, there was a Maserati 3200,
3200,
or maybe a 4200. Couldn't tell because it was facing
in a carport.
Carport.
MGTF was it?
There's an MGTF, which is always, I think, they're increasingly rare.
Is that a popular seaside town car?
Well, I don't know because I'm not sure. They go a bit rotty, don't they?
They do.
But then, so keeping it so close to salty air, well, in fact, in salty air.
Yeah. Those coolant pipes, that's a ticking time bomb.
Yeah. Well, at least you haven't got your suspension pipes on a TF, because an F, you're in a world of pain. Your hydrogas is going to rot out. But, and then, as we walked in search of food, the holy grail of car spots, there was a lewd.
Oh, gosh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Down a side street there was a lewd, and we actually made a detour to go and look at the lewd, and it was very tidy.
It was.
Particularly considering that its proximity to the sea, it was a really tidy lewd.
Prelude, yeah. 2.2, yeah. Not fucking about, yeah. Like, VTEC comes on, like, body kit, down on the wheels. Was it a metallic? It was quite a high metallic.
Quite a high metallic, sort of greeny, blue.
Aquamarine kind of colour.
Yeah.
It looked fresh.
I'm not even sure if that was factory. It looked like it had a paint job.
I think
in recent times, but over fundamentally good bodywork. But it's just nice to see.
It's nice to see a lewd.
A late model lewd. Well, not a late model, so not the last lewd to be sold here. The one before, the one with the interesting tail lights and
lewd behaviour.
So we enjoyed that. Was there something else we saw that was good? I feel like it was sort of surprising.
Well, we saw a Land Rover in someone's front garden that looked really...
Yes, there was a 109 in someone's front garden.
Dissolvey, because, sea salt with an old Land Rover is...
And they'd left the vents below the windscreen open just to let a bit more salty air into the interior. Just to make sure it was...
Oh, I know what we saw in the pub car park. It was a CLK, wasn't it, with crusty arches?
Oh yes, very crusty arches.
Very crusty. They look like sort of Cornish pasty arches.
Yeah. Which is, they do that at the best of times, but you go, I'll just go and park you by the sea and let's see what happens.
Oh
no, It's got completely pastied, crinkly arches.
It reminded me when we were doing we were walking around the Goodwood auction before the auction began, doing some filming. What was there was that amazing Porsche 911, the 1973
Oh, the RSR.
RSR,
Yeah.
3 litre R7 prototype,
Yeah.
and it has that cool pair of like flared wings that go round the back that meet the ducktail.
Yes.
And it's called it's
called a Mary Stewart.
Mary Stewart.
I was about to say Dave Stewart, but out of the Eurythmics because it looks like a beard.
Yeah.
No, it's Mary Stewart because of the collars that Mary Queen of Scots used
So
to have.
Queen of Scots spec collar.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't know what we're talking about, we'll put a picture up of it. But it's
I haven't had a chance to watch our Bonham's auction video on the Goodwood YouTube channel.
No.
I assume they left that bit in at the end.
well, if they didn't, then they're fools.
It'd be a bit weird because that's where we sort of said goodbye. But I suppose
That's potentially one of the most expensive 911, and according to a mutual friend of ours, the most important 911 we know.
Can we name this mutual?
Let's name him. He's a nice guy. He's called Jean Reno, and he's
he's not.
He's an actor.
Yeah, you got confused again because he looks a bit like Jean Reno.
He's British, but he's a Jean Reno, and he's a very handy driver. Was in films such as Leon.
No. Again, you're thinking of Jean Reno.
His name's Andrew Frankel.
Off of the
Intercooler. A sweet
guy who we saw a couple of times this weekend. Or this
we did.
past
Yeah, he
days,
was
didn't we?
driving priceless Porsche race Porsche.
Well, he's just always just driving something interesting up the hill because he can be trusted to do that, and he
is a trusted wheelman.
so he's just permanently in Nomex.
But he always called, fondly, I must admit, I always call him Jean Reno. He always calls me Terence Stamp. And he always...
And this is because what? Because he looks like... I've never realised that he looks a bit like Jean Reno.
As he's getting older, he looks more like Jean Reno. And as I get older, I'm apparently looking more like Superman 2's Neil before Zod.
But then... because you
I'm not sure that's an attractive feature, but I'm going with it anyway.
Yeah, work with it.
Yeah.
But you told me that Andrew Frankel gets, if he's in France or somewhere, people just go up to him and assume
he
he's Jean
has
Reno.
had someone come up to him and ask for a picture.
But was he saying today? I was talking to somebody else, and did I hear him saying to you it's happened to him again recently, like in Bulgaria or somewhere? He just got mobbed. Well,
he does, depending on what clothing he wears, and because Jean Reno sometimes goes for quite a bedraggled beard.
Yes.
It could be depending on what he's acting
on. Yeah.
Or just he can't be asked to shave. We've all been there. But yeah, I think he does get mistaken for him, and maybe people realise when he opens his mouth he's not quite as French as what they were expecting.
Maybe again they assume he's for a role. He's just method.
Oh, he is methoding.
Doing quite a well-spoken Englishman.
Yeah, he's methoding.
So, why are we talking about this?
I don't bloody know.
Well, anyway.
That Porsche, the RSR.
Yes.
Which is going up for auction, not this weekend or the weekend's just gone, but actually in the revival in September.
Yes.
The revival.
But
the Goodwood resuscitation, where we all get those dummies and we clear the airways and then we press its tummy and then we press it and we blow into his mouth.
But it's a 1950s spec dummy. It's really weird, made out of like perished rubber and Bakelite.
And it's slightly creepy.
Yeah, it's very creepy.
The ones they used to, they still do it, I think, because my daughter was doing lifesaving at school. They still chuck it into the deep end and you have to go and get it out. She says it's creepy AF.
Oh, shit. I don't
know. AT. We need to talk about AT.
AT. Oh, yes.
When we were walking round the auction, admiring the different lots. That's what you said. So we had a very, very weighty catalogue under each arm.
Yeah.
And I was making notes with asterisks, because that makes you look like you know what you're doing. And AT in certain territories is a sort of automatic transmission, isn't it? On an options list.
I think maybe does it. Well, I was going to say it can't come from Japan because they wouldn't say that. But I was sure that when I was a kid, and obviously used to collect car brochures because I'm strange and nerdy. And in Toyota and Subaru brochures, I think,
It would say
it would
MT
always say
and
AT
80.
and MT. Yeah. It was just, and he was sort of, you had to figure that out. We'd go, oh, I see, because then there's sort of 2 columns of performance figures or something for a model.
Yeah.
AT MT.
AT-MT just sounds like a Star Wars.
It does sound like one of those 2-legged things that walks through forests.
Yeah, it doesn't even know what transmission it wants. It's auto trans, manual trans.
Well, it may be one of those sort of slightly dead-end things, at some points car makers have developed like a manual transmission, but if you want to, it'll be automatic for you. And you just get,
Like a pre-selected gearbox.
yeah, or those ones that like Merc and Renault did where it's like a clutchless manual.
Yeah.
And your left leg sort of twitches like a convulsing,
Yeah.
like someone who's being electrocuted, because instinctively as you move a manual gear lever, your left leg goes, better do the clutch, and there is no clutch pedal.
I only learnt quite recently. I know people say I was today years old. When I learned that. I'm not going to say that.
No.
It's a bit of a bell end thing to do.
Well, it's part of the infantilization of adults, isn't it? It's just like people going, oh, there's only 5 sleeps until I smack you round the head for being childish.
Yeah. 5 sleeps until you discover that I pissed in your bed last week. No, it's Bobbins, what was I saying? Oh, I've lost me. I lost my trail of thought.
You were today years old when you found out that we were talking about AT though, which can mean automatic transmission.
It's those. Yes, it's not just Citroen 2CVs, but I think they came out with an optional sort of city gearbox.
Citroen.
Yeah, where you could leave it in first gear and it would creep really slowly without you putting your foot on the throttle. And it's basically developed for Paris traffic. Now, people listening to this who know what they're talking about will probably be shouting at the podcast.
The 2CV?
I'm sure that it was an option on a 2CV.
Oh.
And then there was other cars, but I think it was a French thing.
Should ask Ian Hubnut out of Off of Hubnut, because he knows about 2CVs.
Yeah, we should do. Yeah.
He's not here though. So
but I think it originated from basically Parisienne congestion.
Yeah.
And it gets boring, doesn't it? I mean, coming out of Goodwood in the Powerhouse, there's the Citroen C3 base model.
What's that called again? Fun.
U.
Oh yeah, it's called the
Citroen C3
Is it
U.
U exclamation mark?
I don't think there is I think if it was Italian, it would have an exclamation.
Well, no, because U with an exclamation mark kind of sounds like you. Like shouting across a car park at somebody. Yeah, it's accusatory, isn't it? You're the guy who stole my bike.
I'm enjoying it because it's a bit like, you get simple joys from things like mopeds. They're not quick, but they'll do the A to B job.
Yeah,
and there's charms to be extracted. And I told you that the infotainment in that car is pleasantly.
I like the
simple.
basicness of the infotainment in that car. That is true. I drove it yesterday to and from Goodwood.
Because I let you.
Because you let me, because I asked nicely.
You did.
And it wasn't as fun as I thought it was going to be.
No, because it's you.
It's
not fun. It's you.
But I thought it would be fun because small French cars tend to be quite fun. 106s, 205s, AXs, all of that marquee Clios. Traditionally, have often been quite. Even the very basic lowest powered one has a bit of spirit.
Bit boundy, bit.
It's not bouncy and fun. It's sort of quite just. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's not bad. It's just
it's not bad at all.
It's just not sort of exciting.
No, I love the infotainment, the simplicity. In fact, I'll take a photo of the infotainment because it's hard to describe.
Well, it's black and white, isn't it? And yet it is a touchscreen, very small touchscreen, but it is a touchscreen.
Yeah, and it's got the USB port right there.
Yeah,
and it does
big volume
knob. Big volume knob, knurled volume knob. It does Bluetooth boom like that. It does Apple CarPlay and stuff boom like that.
Yeah.
Telephone integration was just effortless. It's got a touch of dab, and which is a fish. Have you?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, I mean we've had a fish and chip dinner tonight, as is traditional.
Yeah, Friday.
With the Off of Goodwood Foz.
Yeah.
Big shout out to Andy's Fish and Chip shop
big shout out to
in Chichester.
Yes,
because Andy looks after us.
From a very nice man indeed.
Sweet guy, and so yeah, I'm sure dab is a sea fish.
It is, yeah. I sort of was aware that it was, but then also anyone who knows the Julia Donaldson book Tiddler, it features in that. There's whole lists of fish in this fish class.
Oh, she's the Gruffalo woman.
Yeah, she's her and Axel Scheffler, who illustrates them. And there's a Devilfish and Dace and something and Dab are all in that. And so
Have any? I can think of 2 cars that are named after fish, but those names like Dace would be good.
Barracuda is
You've
one.
got Barracuda, yeah.
Hang on, what I mean.
And then they shortened it to Cuda
Yeah.
for the later models. Is there anything else?
Hang on, no, you said 2 cars named after fish.
Well,
What's
they
the
are
other
2
one?
cars. Well,
Oh, I see. It's
the Barracuda
it's
and
the
the
same fish.
no.
Hang on, wait. The Stingray,
Oh, Bobbin. Oh, the Manta.
Manta,
Oh, God.
and
Because the early Mantas had a really good lower front wing motif that was a proper Stingray type looking
it's
Manta-y
cool.
thing.
There's probably others, isn't there? Shark. No, the Datsun Shark.
If anyone knows any good fish, or
we'll get messages now.
there
about
will
that, 'cause
be.
we're
There's
probably
no
missing a
sort of
real
like
city.
Daihatsu mackerel. Or anything, is there? It's like
No, it's not. The Nissan Pilchard. Not a car. As far as it probably is in Japan, though. It's a really interesting K car. It's incredibly foxy.
Vauxhall Pollock.
Inexplicably available with 4-wheel drive and an automatic transmission together. And,
AT. It's got to have AT. Oh, but we were talking about
60cc.
we were talking about AT
Oh, yeah.
because I decided. I think it was because we were getting slightly delirious. The filming was going on a bit.
Yeah.
Not from anyone else's fault apart from ours, really.
Yeah.
And I decided that AT should also stand for auction trousers. Auction. And that's because we saw some
Yeah.
particularly
Yeah.
radiant. What should we say? Radiant.
Radiant is a good word.
Yeah.
And it was
Radiant.
also quite a useful shorthand for us because at one point you sidled up to me and just went AT, behind you, AT.
AT.
And I was able to turn around and enjoy a man in some absolutely
Were they
ruddy
salmon?
trousers.
Were they salmon?
They were actually those were salmon, weren't they? And those.
Salmon slacks. You're amazing.
So that what's
And you always know when you're at Goodwood because I had to pop into a fuel station on the way here
yeah.
to get some decongestant, and I thought while I'm there I'll get some freshly squeezed orange juice with bits, not from concentrate. And as I went into the co-op shop, I noticed, because it's a motorsport event, one of the biggest in the world, people come from all around, the number of Le Mans shirts, Gulf polo shirts, even though we weren't in a Gulf fuel station. I mean, maybe you get chucked out for that, I don't know, it was an Esso, I think. No one was wearing an Esso shirt, actually. It's amazing.
No, it's funny they don't, do they? Gulf has a special...
power. It's the motorsport relationship, isn't it? That still continues today. But loads, and I think other motorsporty polo shirts. I think one with Hublot written on the arms.
Yes, that's a good one.
Is that's Le Mans spec, isn't it?
Yeah, sort of endurance racing, GT
or GT racing.
Stuff, yeah.
Yeah, I was actually just watching what people were buying. I was thinking road snacks, lots of road snacks.
Yeah. Yes, I ran into that Sainsbury's earlier on, and there were lots of enthusiast cars in the car park, and people in branded items inside the shop, and it's a bit like, okay, I know everyone's been here. I haven't told you about what happened then when I was in that sort of Chichester Ring Road area.
Yeah.
There's quite a few roundabouts.
Yeah.
I was waiting to go onto this roundabout. Someone came barrelling onto it in a current-shaped Corsa.
Yeah.
And absolutely anchored the handbrake to try and do a little sort of drifto round it.
And got it completely wrong.
Well, no, they got it okay, and I was a bit like, oh, hello, someone's because it's wet.
Do they have an electric handbrake?
They can't have, surely. They must have a bar still, because you couldn't.
Don't know. This Citroen C3.
No, because if you pulled hard on an electric handbrake and held it, it would do an emergency stop, because they're programmed to do that. So it must have had a bar. But they then were so pleased with themselves as they went round the far side of the roundabout. They had in a big roundabout, had another go, completely 180'd it, and then I went to the roundabout, came, and then they were just sitting there, sort of off to the side, but facing towards me. So I stopped, and I thought I'll let them recover their composure. But the guy just sort of sat there, and I don't know what he.
Well, might have had a seizure.
No, he.
What?
He was. I don't know what was going on. I think maybe he stalled it or something. But I gave him a bit of time, and then he just looked like he was not ready to go. And so I drove on. And just as I drove on, he started moving again. I was like, "What are you doing?" And then I looked in the mirror, he'd gone off round the roundabout, and then I heard him doing it again. I could hear the...
I wonder if he'd just stolen it.
Oh yeah, I'd thought about that.
Yeah.
I assumed hire car, to be honest.
Yeah.
I thought, he's on his way back to Heathrow, but his flight's not till later. He's just going to have a final bit of money's worth out of the hire car before he goes. Because a lot of people at Goodwood, and we've met quite a few of them, have come from overseas to the event. And I don't know.
That's what it is. It's let's go mental. It's only a rental.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
I've just realised. So 80 auction trousers.
Yes.
Empty motorsport trousers.
Oh!
You know, the sort of pit crew...
Yes, they are...
They're technical trousers.
They're technical trousers. They look like you might be able to buy them at Wickes, but I don't think you can, because those would be kind of, workman's trousers.
Yeah, well, they're
in the same genre.
They're a high-end cargo pant working trouser.
Yeah.
And they'll have specific pockets for kind of certain tools.
Wheel nuts.
Yeah, and I actually get I get envy. I go, I could do with a pair of those kind of motorsport trousers.
Do you think they've got very strong knees so that you can...
They might have slip-in pads. Have you seen the slip-in pad?
I have not.
For the tradesman trouser, the TT.
The TT.
So we got the MT, the AT, and the TT. Yeah. That's the Isle of Man tradesman trouser competition.
Yeah.
It's highly competitive. Highly.
Yes. Well, there was something else that we noticed at the... Well, goutiness.
There was some ruddiness today.
From GG, Gouty Goodwood.
We were in the driver's enclosure because we had to do some drive some driving simulators.
Yes.
Which we're both not very accomplished at. And saw David Coulthard.
Well, no, it was worse than that, wasn't it? Because we were doing this thing on the twin driving simulator rigs in the corner.
On Gran Turismo.
Gran Turismo 7, driving the Goodwood track, the main circuit, not the hill climb.
In an Austin Mini Cooper S.
Yeah, from the 60s.
From the 60s. And from the 60s. And
Brand small.
Of course, things are different in the 1960s.
Are they just because they asked us to do this as part of our presentational duties for the Goodwood YouTube? I don't know what they're going to do with this. Hopefully nothing, because I had a torrid time because I thought we were still supposed to be presenting. Well, we were kind of supposed to be presenting, so I was kind of trying to talk it around. I realised I can't drive and talk on a simulator because I haven't played a motorsport game for so long.
No, it is hard. Toka was pretty much a lot.
Bloody wheels have got too much feedback in them. They're constantly bloody vibrating. It's just like, a real car doesn't do this. Stop it. And I kept, they were going, there's paddle shifts as well, so they're not really like an old Mini. There's not like, there should have been like a sort of 3-foot wand coming out of the thing with a really long throw on it.
Well, we could have gone outside and found something like a hoe, just sawn the end off
it. Just a big stick from a tree.
Well, it could have, because they're so wandy, aren't they?
So wandy, yeah. So there are paddle shifts as well, but that's the thing that you're supposed to obviously red line it, and the display flashes to tell you what to change up. But it's just like, this feels unrealistic to me because I've driven plenty of cars with an A series engine, and you cannot red line them like that because the push rods will get bent. It's like, also it's run out of puff by then anyway.
Yeah.
So
well, the firewall feels like it's made of crepe paper when you're revving a car that hard. The induction noise behind the clock on a Mini is massive.
You just go, it's so realistic. No, it's not.
Yeah.
It simply isn't. But we were knobbing around, making a terrible job of going around the track. Again, it's a track I've never driven, and I have an awful memory for stuff like that. And I was like, are we here again? Fuck.
I have a bad track memory.
When we'd finished, I realised you could change the view, of course, and go to that sort of higher angle, so looking back on your own car. And I wish I'd done that because you could see the corners coming a bit better. Anyway, but we were knobbing about, making a bit of a hash of going around it, realising or knowing full well, right behind us, there's a table with David Coulthard, Martin Brundle and Damon Hill sitting around it having a chat.
Damon Hill was there, yeah.
And I wondered, we couldn't look back because we were trying to do this bloody game and we were on camera, but I was thinking, are they all sort of chatting with them, but they were all slightly distracted going, what the fuck are they doing?
I was really tempted.
Not even close to the racing line.
I was tempted to ask the guys to cut the cameras and say, can one of you go and ask Coulthard and Brundle to go and put green body stockings on? And then we just CGI this shit. They sit in the seats with us. They put in a hot lap time. and then you CGI our heads onto their body stocking bodies.
This is the second time this week that we've talked about CGI people. Because why were we talking about them yesterday? This like, green body stocking.
Can you imagine
ping pong
Brundle
ball
just
attached
walking
to it?
around Goodwood without mentioning it, just in a green body stocking with ping pong balls?
What are you
attached?
doing?
They're like a shit Christmas tree.
But didn't you say yesterday that you decided the next time you have to go to a fancy dress party, you're going to go as a CGI person?
I just say I've gone as Gollum. I've gone as realistic Gollum.
I've gone as the guy who did all the movements for them to map. Got a CGI Gollum onto.
Yeah, I'll just do it. I'll go into a pub, gents. I'll get my Mendurance blue pill.
Yeah,
I'll get my green body stocking on.
Yeah,
and go to the party.
No, fair
have
enough.
A wild time.
What I was going to say to you about half an hour ago, that just reminded me, we were talking about brothers, is what happened last night when we were not foraging for food, but certainly searching for somewhere that was still serving.
Yeah,
and realising that for some reason around the coast they can't eat after 8:30 because they think it attracts mermaids or something. And
it's sirens that come out.
Sirens are coming in. What? So you honestly couldn't even do me a sandwich? No, it's too dangerous. So, but we pulled up at that pub, and then that people carrier of almost identical looking men pulled up.
I forgot.
Okay, mate. And we couldn't figure out. They were like, were they brothers or were they just all very similar men?
They were all dressed the same,
looked
build.
the same, and they were all going mate, as they walked into the pub.
It was amazing.
But then we went to that other pub, and there were two identical looking men sitting outside.
Yeah, and they were eating burgers, same
Which they must have ordered an hour in advance because.
Same pints of lager, and they were eating the burger in unison, like a mirror image of one another. It's like someone was taking the piss out of us.
Well, then we got back towards Helsey, and we saw some more identical-looking men in the street. We're like, is there a twins convention in town or something?
I don't know what it was.
It's just bizarre, but particularly just the guys getting out of the people carrier going, mate. It's very strange.
Well, Goodwood cars of mention.
Yes.
Worthy of mention. I think we should just say right at the top there was a massive crash.
Ooh.
And it involved a Hyundai/Hyundai/Hyundai.
Yes, Hyundai. Sorry, I'm just going to go and get a glass of wine from over here.
Do it, chap.
Keep talking.
So it happened on the Thursday, and it was a pro driver, we believe. And I think it was an Ioniq 6.
Hello, speaking to you from the kitchen area. I thought those guys we met this evening in the Chippy, who were the camera guys, they said it was a journalist.
Oh, no.
Well, they may be wrong, they may be confused.
It might have been one of us. So it was an Ioniq 6N prototype. So we know the Ioniq 5N has just come out. N being their kind of AMG/M Spalt equivalent. Bear in mind it's headed up by Albert Bierman.
Albert Bierman, yeah.
XM Spalt.
Off of M Sport. No, not M Sport. M Sport? Do we mean M Sport? I'm so tired.
Yeah. You're not Malcolm.
What am I confusing with? M Sports.
You're talking about Malcolm Wilson's rally. Is he M Sport?
Yeah.
Well, what's M then? BMW M.
BMW M.
M Division.
Just M. BMW M.
Right. Okay. Anyway.
We
are. Sorry.
The BMW one, the M stands for motorsport.
Yes.
But the rally team M Sport, the M stands for Malcolm.
Malcolm Sport.
Malcolm Sport. I assume it stands for Malcolm.
Of course it does.
Yeah, but it's like
it should be Wilson Sport.
W Sport.
Should be W Sport.
I suppose M Sport slightly trips off the tongue, or maybe it is actually short for motor sport.
Please welcome on stage multiple award-winning driver, well-decorated champion, and also engineer and bloke that lives up in the northeast, west. Please welcome Malcolm Sport. Hi guys, I'm Malcolm Sport.
Malcolm's not a
sporty name.
It's not a sporty name, is it?
Well, it's not like Travis Pastrana, where he either sounds like a lead guitarist for Bon Jovi, or he's. But you know what I mean? Like, I mean, I've got a boring name. I can say this. I've got a bloody boring name. But yeah, Malcolm Sport. I don't. I've been to dinner with Malcolm Wilson.
Have you?
Yeah.
I've never met him.
Nice guy.
Yeah, he seems like he's a nice guy.
He's,
from what I've seen in interviews and stuff.
And his place is amazing.
Is it?
Yeah.
What, his workshop or his house?
I haven't been to his house. It's just his workshop.
Okay, right.
Yeah, what is it near Morecambe? It's near Cockermouth, isn't it?
Well, it's Cumbria, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it's. And what's the forest that they've got their own practice rally stage up there, which is amazing.
Oh, the Forest of Malcolm.
Oh, is that what it is?
No, it is now. Yeah, he's bought it and renamed it.
So we've got the Goodwood Festival of Speed down here, but he's going to do the green. He's going to do the Greenwood Forest of Malcolm.
Yeah, the Forest of Malcolm.
The Malcolm Forest stages. Which is
a bit sweaty under his
MFS.
overalls, so he just dabs on some Malcolm powder first.
Malcolm powder? That sounds awful. Nigel Mansell's can have a word with him about that. You can't market that. I'm about to market Nigel Mansell.
But he's not, is he? Oh, I'm just for no reason other than he's a friend of ours. Our friend Jim produced this documentary about Nigel Mansell and Williams recently, Red 5, which was on Sky.
I need to watch that.
It's on Sky. It's available on Now TV as well. I don't know if you can just buy it as a one-off or what have you, or if there are other ways of viewing it. I should have checked this out, but it's very good. Great interviews in it, including with Mansell himself, and great archive and all of that.
Didn't we got video bombed by Nigel Mansell? Was it last year or the
last year? We did, yeah.
Doing the Goodwood Festival of Speed reporting.
We were doing a short, 1 minute guide to that E-Transit.
It's a Supervan.
4, yeah.
Basically Supervan.
And Mansell, I think we talked about this in the podcast last year. Mansell just crashed our shot, just walked straight through. This year, lo and behold, who was crashing our shot?
Shmee, aka Tim Burton.
Off of YouTube.
Shmee 150.
Who I've never met before.
Yeah, he's a really lovely guy.
You introduced me to him.
Yeah, he's a
nice
really
guy.
He's a decent. So he's a sweet. I would go as far as to say he's a sweet guy.
And his we met his girlfriend as well. She was there.
Yeah,
we had a quick chat with her.
Yeah. That mad McLaren.
Yes, the Solus.
The Solus.
V10
Solus.
Yeah, video game.
Quite a cool car
made real, and they're selling them.
You made an interesting point that there's a lot of these single-seater kind of ultra-low number, ultra-high coin hypercars coming out.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of friendless billionaires tooling around on tracks soon.
I just wonder, and I know the thing is that cars now, that they just become a sort of vessel for wealth, as in a vessel for money to be stored as a physical thing that can be disposed of later for a larger amount. Cars are now sort of more, they have greater, those kind of cars have greater sort of parity with art or wine or something like that, where previously maybe cars weren't of that stature.
Yeah.
So you could just sort of store some of your money as a physical thing that is a car.
Yeah.
And then if you need to sell it, you'll get your money back plus some.
Ish, unless you buy an Aston Martin Taraf.
Well,
Lagonda Taraf.
As you discovered.
Carafe of Taraf.
Carafe of...
There's a Taraf that went up for auction.
I haven't checked if that's sold. Was it no reserve?
There's no reserve. Estimation 120 to 150,000.
Well, that was $1 million car.
It was $1 million, and not that many years ago.
No, 7 years ago, 8 years ago.
Yeah, and you never see them. I mean, when was it? Has anybody seen a Lagonda Taraf driving around?
They belatedly, I suppose they were offered for sale here. I don't know if they ever made any in right-hand drive though, because originally it was Middle East only.
It was. Yeah.
And then they said, oh, do you know what, we'll just offer it everywhere.
Yeah.
Whether anyone ever bought
I'd love one with a Chevy LS and a motor in it.
What have you got against the Aston V12 in there?
I just don't trust it.
I think there's other parts of that car that could betray your trust, though, so you really just...
you... And again, I'm not fundamentally mistrusting you, but when we had a quick eyeball around the DB12,
yeah,
which is a very handsome car, and that colour that it was in. That they do
it's good
green. I mean,
colour.
Aston do good greens,
Yeah.
and Porsche do good greens. And the only other green company I would add in there, who I think they know what they're doing when it comes to green, is Alfa. Only because that green for the Quattro Foglio four cheese
Yeah.
is just the coolest green.
There's some Bentley do some decent greens. I
Oh,
think.
they do. All right, so then Bentley can wade in as well.
Yeah.
Anyone else wading in while I'm there?
You said Porsche, didn't you? So
Yeah, I'd say
Okay.
Porsche, Aston, Bentley, and Alfa just for that recent quad fog colour.
Well, but the green of that Lexus I'm driving is nice.
Oh, for goodness sake, stop it! You're ruining
Everyone does good greens except
Good greens, sweet greens.
sweet greens.
I love green cars. I absolutely love green cars.
Well, now you see, I have a bit of a mixed feeling about green cars because, as you know, I'm quite superstitious.
Are
I
you?
think- Yeah.
I didn't bloody know that.
What? You didn't know that?
Why are you superstitious?
You
It's
know I'm
fine.
superstitious.
It's all bobbins.
I know it is. I absolutely know it is, but I just,
I walk under ladders. I love
for
it.
fuck's sake, don't do
I
that.
love
Well,
it.
there's a
It's great.
practical reason not to do that because something might get dropped on
Yeah,
your
but I
head.
just like to watch other people's expressions because some people are terrified.
I wouldn't say I'm terrified, but I just wouldn't do it. In fact, funny enough, my wife got home the other day. She'd been somewhere and
Ladder walking.
with someone else, and they got back to our house, and she went. And we walked under a ladder. We had to because the ladder was blocking the pavement, and we couldn't get around because there was something in the road. We just walked under the ladder, and I was like, "What?" And so my wife said to the person who was with, and she went, "See, I told you, Richard would freak out about that."
If you were a racing driver or rider,
Yeah,
would you have some mad ritual?
yeah, probably.
Would you?
I've shaken myself out of the lucky pants thing.
What?
I used to have lucky pants.
Listeners, I had no idea about this.
But you did because you know that I salute magpies.
I just thought that was because you were strange.
Well, it is, but it's because it's superstition. I think I inherited it from my mum because she always said she was superstitious. She tried not to pass it on to her children because she knew it was stupid and irrational, as I do.
Is it okay? I mean, I sort of flick the V's to pigeons.
No, that's
just 'cause I
that's
hate-
not a superstition.
just 'cause I hate
that's
them.
because you don't like
I
pigeons.
just don't like. Although, I mean, I got woken up. I'm really tired, partly because of the long days, but also got woken up really early by seagulls.
Yes.
The last 2 days.
Yeah.
They have the strangest of startup procedure. like an old tractor which takes a while to catch.
Yeah.
The engine takes a while to catch.
They've actually got a range of sounds, haven't they?
It's
seagulls?
amazing.
Well, actually, we probably would irritate any ornithologist listening because the seagulls isn't really a thing, is it? They're gulls. They're different kinds of gulls.
Gulls of the sea?
Gulls. They sound like a very posh person saying girls.
Gulls.
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 In
Gulls.
the
Gulls.
60s, there were lots of bloody gulls.
You see, in the 60s, there were so many beautiful gulls,
Gulls.
surrounded on Carnaby Street everywhere. Gulls, 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 short skirts,
Maybe they were
lovely,
talking about what?
sweet,
Seagulls in short skirts. What the fuck?
Sweet,
It was the 60s. It was a different
fun-free, high-skirted, high-booted gulls, gulls, gulls.
And then they would steal your chips and fly off. Yes, gulls. The thing, but I was saying to you, I was staying at a friend's flat in London last weekend. Got woken at like 4 a.m. by fucking parakeets. Cause, you know, parakeets have sort of become a thing in London. There's just loads of them. They've taken hold.
They escape the zoos.
I can't remember the backstory with these. I think there is a.
Or are they pets that people couldn't be bothered to
Well, I
look
don't
after?
know. They're very specifically green parakeets.
Okay.
And they are noisy bastards.
They live a long
screechy,
time, don't they, as well?
Probably, I don't know. They're bloody everywhere, though. In
Wow.
London. Nowhere else, I don't know how far away. I mean, presumably at some point, 20 years from now, they'll be everywhere because they seem to have adapted very well to living in the UK, or certainly in London. But, screeching outside the window in a tree. First floor flat, tree outside the window. Screechy fuckers. Had to close the window on a very hot night. So I've had a gutful of being woken by unusual birds or just noisy birds.
Gulls.
Gulls.
I know we've talked about the seagulls before because they've got I think they've got 3 different rev ranges. A seagull.
Yes, I'm trying.
They have that.
Yeah.
When they're talking to one another, like going, "I'm on this TV area," or "You piss off and go on the other TV area."
Yeah.
And then they've got the is it that? And then they do the And that's like starting up a vintage tractor where it's a real pop, 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 pop.
Is it? We're infuriating ornithologists now by not knowing our bird calls, but the one that.
By the way, if you've just tuned into this podcast,
Hi, yes, if you somehow inexplicably just gone, I'll just do the last 10 minutes or so.
and somebody has said, "Oh, you should listen to this because it's got guys who talk about cars on it." I mean, just stop listening now for your own safety. It's just
met
all bobbins.
quite a few people who said things like, "Oh no, I've got my dad listening to it. Oh no, I've got my brother, or I've got my mates listening to it." But that's really nice and it's really sweet.
It's
and
wonderful.
They've caught on as well to listening to it and they enjoy it. Well, that's lovely. But there's sort of people who go, "I'm going to tell my friends to listen to your podcast." They kind of go, tread carefully.
Well,
You told me it was a car podcast. They were just going on about fucking seagulls for a bit on that last one I listened to. But is that
worse?
I find there is something haunting and a little depressing about the sound of a lone seagull doing that while flying, and it echoes slightly off buildings.
Yeah.
I think it reminds me of run-down coastal resorts,
Yes.
and there's something. It's a cold sound. Somehow.
It is cold. It's because it's a bleak wind
That's it.
that always decorates it.
Yeah. It's just not a nice sound.
It's not nice. Well, anyway, back to Goodwood with the cars.
Anyway, so where were we? Oh, you
So we had crashed Hyundai.
Yeah, Cars of Goodwood that
Which-
what we often saw.
Off of Saw and all that. Well, go on then. Give me some of your ones that have stuck in your mind, good for good or.
I really like that little AIM or AIM electric coupe designed by Shakira.
Not Shakira. No, not Shakira. Shiro Nakaduct. No,
I
Shiro.
can't remember his name. He's
It was on the tip of-
Nissan designer who designed
Nakamura. Shiro Nakamura.
Sorry, Shiro. for
Yeah,
getting
ex
your name
head of
horribly
design at Nissan, head of the GTR program.
and did work on. Well, I suppose he's head of design. He gets credit for lots of stuff, but he certainly oversaw Dukes and Qashqais and
Yeah.
your favourite,
Oh yeah. Well,
the
the Cube.
creaky chair.
So he was there today, stood next to this car, this AIM electric little coupe, which looks, I think, quite a lot like an Alpine in a good way, and it's a similar proportion car. But I realised when I went off of Japan and all that, like quite a few years ago now, it was to do with the GTR. And we had dinner and drinks out with Nakamura one night. And we went up to the sort of like bar on the roof or the top floor of a big hotel. And there was a band that came on, and it was a very, very good Elvis impersonation band. And so while we were watching that, me and Shiron Nakamura were talking about cubes. And because I said, at the time, I think we had a cube.
Yeah.
And I said, I really like the cube. And he said, which colour? And I said, like the sort of powder pearlescent blue. He went, launch colour, good colour. And I went, yeah. So he's a proper car high. He actually told me what cars he had. He had some really unusual.
Oh, he had a collection.
Yeah, it's some rare, weird. Not like loads of cars.
Yeah.
He probably had like 5. But 5 interesting things, and they weren't all Japanese market cars.
Oh, okay.
So he's got good taste. He's a great guy, and actually very, very witty. Really witty.
Yeah. Well, I love that car. So he's come up with this little with the Japanese racing team AIM or AAM, I don't know. That little 2-seater rear-wheel drive electric coupe, but really pretty little car.
Yeah.
Love that. I had to go over there because I realised I got a message in from my phone. This is breaking news. It's about 10:30 on Friday night. And this message has come in. Important update from the Goodwood Festival of Speed organisers. This is with deep regret that the Festival of Speed will not go ahead tomorrow.
Lemon heck.
On-site safety is our highest priority, and the forecasted high winds will pose a serious risk to the various temporary structures across the site. Sunday will be going ahead as planned. So, well, I mean, people listening to this will know this has happened by now, but this is the sound of us just discovering
I don't think
that.
this has happened before.
No, I don't think this has happened before. I don't know.
That might mean that more people watch our videos because we did them on the days when it was open.
Yes.
I mean, I'm being very selfish when I say that. I know.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
Well,
so
hopefully, no cars get damaged and no people get damaged.
No. Yes. Anyway. So, well, that's crikey. That's an absolute shitter for everyone who's got tickets tomorrow. But
It
at the
is.
same time, our experience of leaving the car park this evening after a day of pretty consistent rain was that it was getting quite quagmiry,
Yeah.
and I think it would have been obviously if you missed out on your Saturday at the Goodwood Festival of Speed, you'd be quite pissed off. But just imagine if you'd come and it had been
Because people have come from
absolute horror show.
America, Japan.
Yeah.
Well,
We met that guy who's a listener to the podcast who had come from Indiana.
Yes,
Two of them,
Indianapolis,
a pair of
yeah.
them had come. Two
Yeah.
mates had come from Indiana.
Yeah.
Indianapolis, sorry, not Indiana. And I liked the cut of his jib
He was really good.
because
He
he'd
was-
come over to go to the British Grand Prix. He then went to Stuttgart
Yeah.
to go to the Porsche Museum.
Just popped over, he said.
Popped over.
like for a day.
rented a 911
Yeah.
and went off up into the Alps.
Yeah.
Back to Stuttgart, flew back to the UK to go to Goodwood Festival of Speed.
Yeah. What a
And
hero.
he's the guy who, on a previous holiday to the UK, while his wife went to Harry Potter World, which he admitted he didn't much care for, so didn't go,
No.
he was at a loose end. And so, on the spur of the moment, he found out you could go and do Silverstone Experience Days and went and did one of those. Instead, he just went.
Yeah, in a single seater or something.
Yeah,
wasn't
this guy's great. He's just
Yeah.
he's just seizing the moment.
it? He is.
So-
He's grabbing life by the horns.
So, well, at least he got to see.
Talking
today.
of grabbing life by the horns, and I don't wish to make this podcast turn a sort of slightly toilety theme because I've done that a lot lately. But I have to share this information. I just have to.
Uh-huh.
It happened at Goodwood yesterday. Gents' toilets went in, and there's urinals with dividers between them. Okay, and as I went in to a cubicle, I noticed there was an old guy. Okay, who had pants and trousers down, not all the way down, and he was holding and texting on his phone with both hands, and he was basically no-handed urinating. Properly ghost riding. Well, I don't know what you call it. But I've never seen it, and I've just didn't know it was a thing. You just let it go the way it wants to go. You know, like fireman's hose, just let it run.
It's a high risk strategy,
So high risk.
particularly if you're wearing a chino style trousers.
And he was.
Oh well.
He's wearing a sand-coloured cord.
But he got them down the half mast.
He got them down above the knee.
Oh. It sounds like he's got a practiced technique on this. Maybe
He was so relaxed. He was there for
spread the
ages.
legs enough to sort of create some tension to
Yeah.
hold
Yeah.
the trouser.
Yeah. Does anybody do this? I just don't believe that anybody. I think he's the only man in the world that does the no-handed
So,
waz.
It's a confident move.
It's a confident.
Now,
yeah.
since you've made it all
Toilety.
matters of the bathroom, I will just say that we both separately went in to use that men's loo by the driver's garden thing,
Yeah, where the drivers get changed.
where the drivers get changed.
Yeah.
And so you walk in, and there are lockers and there are benches, and it has very much a changing room vibe, which is because it is a changing room, but it is also a loo. Now, you might assume they are separate, but they're not, because you get to the end where the sign for the actual loo is. It's still a locker room, there's just some urinals in it. There's poor blokes trying to get into their Nomex on benches, and there's just someone kind of having a slash next to them. I found it really extraordinary.
Well, it
and
needed
quite
a divider.
off-putting. Yeah,
It did
just
need
a divider would have something, a token divider, even half height, would have just sort of symbolically, as much as anything, said, this changing room, this where people defecate.
Yeah.
I found that very odd. And also, it's sort of, you kind of go, oh, it's not all glamour, is it?
No.
Because presumably, even if you are Jensen Button
You
or
still
Derek
get.
Warwick or someone,
Yeah, you get into your gear
I
there.
picked Derek Warwick.
Do you know what you got me thinking? I'm thinking Stig Blomqvist. He'd be a no-handed weir.
Do you think?
Yeah, he'd just go straight up to the trough, and he just have his hands on his hips.
Maybe it's an old sort of it's like a Scandinavian driving technique on snow. If you sort of in doubt, just actually take your hands off and let it
Let the car steer where it wants
let
to
it
go.
let it settle itself.
And just use the throttle.
Yeah.
And that's what he's doing.
He is. He's just take your hands off. Just throttle it to control
It's
where it's going.
it's pure. It's yeah, it's just acceleration via the urethra.
Yeah,
That's all it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's good.
So,
Okay, well, look,
and
we
all
should
that.
probably bring this to an end.
No, I want to carry on.
Thank you to. Do you really?
Yes, I want.
Do you?
Yeah, yeah,
'Cause I thought you were quite tired and ill.
I am. I am
I've still
quite
got
tired
half a
of
glass
it.
of wine left, so.
Oh, I know what we were going to mention.
Oh,
I've just read it here.
I'm just now getting WhatsApp messages from mates who've got tickets for Goodwood tomorrow, all going, "What the fuck's sake?" One of them just said.
Not that far from here, when I was driving down on Wednesday evening,
Yeah.
I saw an old X-Reg, so it would be late 1999, 2000 millennium
Yeah.
Citroen, a high-end Citroen. Is it the XM?
It would have still been the XM then, yes. I suppose
XM,
So, yeah.
XM, and a guy wearing a presentable, a middle-aged man in a presentable suit
Okay.
on his own, driving the other way. Looked like he was on his way back from work. Okay, and it just suddenly made me, and I wrote it on my phone when I pulled over. Time warp businessman. I think.
Is it like some kind of weird version of life on Mars?
I just think that there's people out there that, and actually, I was thinking about this as I saw him. I was like, he will have had that car a long time,
Yeah.
and it will be the bed of the devil, you know. Like, I've had it a while, I like it. When things go wrong, I kind of know how to sort them, or I have a guy.
Yes.
And I just go to work, and I'm the guy in the 20-odd-year-old car. I don't go to classic car shows with it. It's just
Oh,
the car.
it's just my car.
And I realised, I started sort of thinking about that and finding it quite charming. Then I realised my dad was a time warp businessman.
What?
My dad was time warp businessman in the Avenger,
Oh.
because he still used it just to go to work in. It was just the car. It was the car.
Yeah.
He didn't go to classic car shows in it.
No, but that was when? What years?
Late 90s.
Okay, yeah, all right.
That's 20-odd years old.
Yeah.
He was time warp, and he wore a suit. He's time warp businessman.
So he didn't wear a 70s suit, he didn't like flared trousers and very wide lapels.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Not one of those people, occasionally you sort of get those people who just live their life like it's 1956.
Yes.
Everything were better back then, so I just, they've got that kind of mad quiffy hair.
Oh, yeah.
And they drive one of those, like a Ford Prefect or something.
Yeah. They wear strictly Old Spice.
Yeah, yeah. Well, no, I mean, what would you...
Old Spice is fairly old. I mean, the name's the
50s?
clue.
Yeah, well, no, but that's misleading. I don't...
Well, it should be called really Old Spice,
I
because it
think-
used to be just Old Spice, and it's obviously got older.
Yeah, maybe back then it was just called Spice.
No, that's a drug, a synthetic
Yeah,
drug.
well, it is
isn't
now, but it wasn't then. But he just smells of Brill cream and
Soap, just real nice,
soap. I was going to say it
fresh
smells
soap.
soapy, but good soap. But like also incredibly hard, very drying soap.
And of course, because he's a man's man, no moisturiser.
No
None of that
moisturiser.
rubbish.
And obviously he doesn't drink water because, as we've established, that would be ridiculous.
You're a pussy if you drink anything more than a thimble of water a day.
Yeah, even that might be considered giving in to nature. No, I was. What else was I going to say? Since we're still carrying on,
If anyone knows of any time warp businessmen, or you're understanding what the hell I'm on about,
it may.
you can get in touch with us as always on this podcast off of the email address,
which you can't remember.
no, which is hello at
Smithandsniff.com.
smithandsniff.com. See, I know it.
There.
I knew.
Well, I was going to. I'll go on.
And we have merchandise for sale.
Oh yes, okay. We've got a song at the end. That tells
Oh
people
yeah,
that now.
shit, yeah.
It's
Just
fine.
don't worry about it. Just listen to that. Yeah.
That road to Selsey, where we were staying, there was sort of a straight bit, and then suddenly it got very windy.
It did.
And on the straight bit, I got on a bit on the way there for the first time. I was a bit thirsty, so I had a bottle of water, like one of our. In fact, speaking of our merch, one of our Smith and Sniff water bottles. I don't think we sell anymore, so I shouldn't mention it.
Oh, do we?
I
Okay.
can't remember. I should check the stock on it.
We're so
We're so
proud.
good at this. And it's a screw cap,
Yes.
but it's fine. It's a straight road. It wasn't tightly done up, so I just unscrewed the cap, dropped into the cup holder,
Yeah.
took a couple of swigs, and then the road got twisty, and there was no opportune moment and it was still quite a full bottle of water. Put the cap back on. So I'm in a non-geared car because it's electric. And it wasn't like doing the Stelvio Pass. They were just sort of some sweeping curves, but there were enough of them that it was like... And I suddenly thought, this might make quite a good round of the rally championship.
Oh.
You've got to do what you normally do, but unfortunately only one-handed because you're holding quite a full bottle of water at the same time.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, I thought it was all right.
The full bottle rally.
Full bottle rally, and it's like, well, full bottle, like as in you've got to have real confidence.
Yeah.
Or is it like full throttle and you go, no, you've
Full
literally
bottle.
got a full bottle of water.
That's actually, it's not
Or-
the worst idea.
Do you know what? There's not so much peril in water, is there? Because you just go, well, it's gone on my race suit, it'll dry. That's fine.
Yeah, it's
if
not
it was
neat.
olive oil,
Neat.
that's a nuisance. You wouldn't want to
Neat.
spill olive oil on your
What
suit.
about neat Ribena?
That's very staining, yes.
Yeah, and also in the summer, an attractor of
Oh
bugs.
God! Yeah, as soon as you stop at the service halts, there's wasps all over you. It's like, fuck's sake. Yeah, okay.
I'd like that idea, the full bottle
The
rally.
full bottle rally, but I'm just wondering.
Great name.
Ribena is bad. Olive oil is bad.
Here they are.
Or I sometimes make a stir fry recipe where you sort of marinate the chicken first in a concoction which includes
Monster.
no, don't stop doing that one because if you have it for dinner you then don't go to bed till 5 a.m. It has that fish sauce
Yes.
that's used a lot in sort of Asian cooking.
Yes.
Well, it was in sort of Far Eastern.
What
Asian
is it
cooking.
though?
Well, it's I don't know. ground
Don't say
fish
it's
oil.
the source of a fish.
Well, I think it is. It's got fish in it, I presume. I actually haven't checked. It's like you use also the same recipe. You use oyster sauce, that thick sauce.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's got real oysters.
Squeezing oysters.
I don't know. It's a bit silly, isn't it? I've never
Do you
really
milk
read the-
oysters or do you just put them in a vice, household vice?
You get bits of shell in it, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you would.
No, I don't know. But that fish sauce,
Or fish sauce rally. Oh,
a brimming bottle of fish sauce that you don't want to spill on yourself. I
Oh.
just
well, on the
I don't
late,
know.
you remind me on the Late Break Show we did a car cave, like walk around a guy's collection in his garage. Really interesting bloke called Craig, who's quite mad. He's a privateer motorcycle sidecar racer. Does the TT as a privateer and everything. Got some cool cars. One of which is a purple Diablo 30th anniversary edition.
yeah.
Okay.
Was it the SE30? Was that called?
Yes, it was the SE30, and it's mint.
Oh.
And he drives it. He casually referred to it early on in the conversation as his gravy car. And I thought, I don't know what he means. What's the gravy car? I just think it was sort of some sort of Cockney rhyming. I don't know what.
It's all gravy. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, like I was thinking, does it mean like the one that's worth the most, or
Yeah.
the one that? It turns out he goes every Sunday to his local pub, which is a few miles away down the road, down a country road, to buy his dog gravy
Oh.
to bring it home.
Oh.
So he doesn't go for a roast. He doesn't really buy any food, it seems, or not regularly. He knows the pub well because he drinks there and stuff. And they pre-prep not a jug of gravy, but those 1970s police film polystyrene cups with an ill-fitting lid.
Yes.
One of those with thick gravy in it.
Just for the dog.
And he said, "This is my gravy car." He said, "I just get in
The
it.
gravy express.
I get in it. I drive the back way. Then it's like I don't know, 5 miles. I do 4 miles back." But he said, the gravy test. He said the gravy car has to be really good. I drive with the gravy between my legs because a lot of the cars don't have cup holders.
Oh.
And I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, I clench it between my thighs.
But it's a squeezy
I
cup.
know. I mean, it's just suicide.
Oh my God.
What are you doing? And he says, I do that, and then I drive. I mean, I got to drive the car a little bit.
Heavy clutch on that.
Serious, yeah.
So his leg, he's not clamping it because one of his legs, both his legs really are moving, but particularly the level one is moving a lot.
It's just. I mean, it's like a detailer's worst nightmare.
Well, so much of this story is confusing me.
It's his gravy car.
Fucking hell. But it's also a freaking Diablo SE30.
I know.
Why doesn't he just buy a Micra or something
Well,
to
he's
do the
got
gravy
other-
run?
What he bought? He bought.
Does he need the speed of the Diablo because he doesn't want the gravy to go cold?
It could be.
Does the dog like warm gravy? It's a fucking dog.
The dog. Well, the thing is, he bought a car purely for his dog. When the new Defender came out, he bought a new Defender. He didn't need it because he had a Volkswagen Transporter, which was a nice one.
Yeah.
Which had tasteful mods, and he bought like a really highly spec Defender 110 because he thought his dog would like it. It was his dog's Christmas present. He's such a fascinating guy. He's funny. He's so funny.
What kind of dog is this?
Oh bollocks! I can't remember.
I'm picturing an Alsatian. I don't
Big.
know.
Yeah, well, I think it was an Alsatian.
Okay.
It was. It was big and it was well behaved. So I think it was.
Well, that doesn't really narrow it
Well,
down.
Alsatians are sort of ex-police,
Okay, they're
aren't they?
cross-dactioned off the list, but otherwise...
They're ex-police spec.
Ex-police spec, they are, aren't they? Yes.
Yeah, no,
That's
sorry.
funny, because I was thinking when you said dog eating gravy, I imagine like a massive tray of gravy, like an old ice cream tub of gravy. Because when I was in the Cubs once, for very, very complicated reasons, but it was not complicated, one of the Scout Cub leaders was a police officer. He was a dog handler.
Okay.
And we had some kind of event in the Scout hut where there'd been catering and there was loads of custard left over, like a massive tray.
It
of
is
custard.
so 80s.
And
this whole
for some
thing.
reason, Gordon, the police officer, was there, but he brought the police dog with him because I think the dogs live with their handlers.
They certainly did. Used
They
to,
did, yeah. I don't know if they do that anymore, but and he brought the dog. I can't remember what the dog was called, but. And someone just put they put the tray of custard on the floor, and the dog just devoured it.
That can't be
I
good.
don't know if it is. This feels like something that would not happen.
A load
now.
of
It's a
E-
very 80s story.
E
A
number
massive-
custard.
Massive police German Shepherd dog.
Can you imagine
just
the
lapping
dog?
like a lunatic at a huge catering tray of custard. Really yellow custard
Oh,
as
the-
well, because it's the 80s.
The dog gets in the van the next morning. It's got
Well,
a proper pot bang map on the go,
Yeah,
hasn't
what
it?
is coming out
It's
of the
absolutely
end of the dog?
Daffy
It's-
Ducking.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it. I mean, you're talking to the bloke. You know, you're not supposed to give dogs chocolate because it can kill.
Is it lethal?
Yeah, it can be. Yeah, it depends on the strength of the chocolate.
I didn't realise it was so lethal.
Yeah, but I was convinced that this is something that dogs have just come up with in the last 20 years, because I swear when I was a kid in the 80s that
Give a dog
I had
anything.
a mate and a Labrador which would eat anything, and included like, eating Kit Kats and shit, but maybe not. Or maybe the dog in fact got really sick and we didn't know.
And it did die.
I don't think they've changed the design of dogs since the 80s. That's not really. I mean, obviously doodles and things have come along, but that's by the by.
Dog
The digestive
design.
system of dogs has not actually changed. They haven't all gone, let's fuck around by not having chocolate anymore, lads. And raisins, we're not allowed those anymore.
Do
New
dogs
rules.
eat raisins?
They're not allowed raisins.
Seriously?
Yeah. Very poor.
Well, we're going on. I mean, any other cars you're interested in? The Rolls Royce Sphincter?
The Rolls-Royce Sphincter, the Spectral.
Yeah.
Spectre.
Yeah, the
Spectre with the Spectre. I saw one this morning as we were queuing to get into Goodwood by the Rolls-Royce factory. People who do good greens. There's another one, Rolls-Royce.
Oh,
A
bums.
very nice green painted Spectre
Spectre.
came across the roundabout in front of me, and it looked superb.
Super.
Superb. So that's good. What else did I like? I can't think now. I think I'm too tired to recall recent memories.
Well, we're really good at I mean, obviously Porsche's 75th birthday, Land Rover's 75th birthday.
all right, 959. I saw
We did.
I
We
saw that
admired
beautiful
it.
Porsche Museum 959. We
Yeah.
took a picture of ourselves going, ooh,
We did.
which you put on our socials.
Yeah.
'Cause
We are on Instagram,
We are on Instagram.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
not on.
not on Twitter as Smith and Smith.
Not on Twitter with Smith and Stiff. We should probably activate our, what's it called, sachets.
What?
What's the new thing called? Threads.
Threads.
The Instagram that is Twitter.
Oh yeah, okay.
We'll just activate it, because if you've got the Instagram handle,
Yeah.
it becomes a thing. Where I haven't got Sniff Petrol, because I'm Sniff_Petrol on Instagram.
Yeah.
Because someone else has taken Sniff
Someone
Petrol.
took Car Pervert.
Really?
Yeah, so I'm Johnny Car Pervert
Why
on
people do
Instagram.
this? Well, it's like... Oh,
I asked for it back because they don't use it.
Oh really?
No,
See,
they
the guy who is Sniff Petrol on Instagram, he does use it, but I messaged him a couple of weeks ago and went, "Yeah, can I just? It's kind of like, it's my website and my thing, and I don't know why you've used it. And could we do a swap or something?" Which, it's like I can't stop him. It's perfectly
Just say, look,
right.
I'll send you a Smith and Sniff mug. I'll send you a mug which says it'll do that all day.
But there's no suggestion. I mean, it's weird, isn't it? He uses. I don't think he follows me on Instagram, but he's using the name of my website that I've used for 20 years.
That's odd.
Why? And he's American as well, so petrol is not even a word. You should sniff gas, if anything.
Yeah.
I don't know. If you're listening, please could we do some kind of swap? I don't know.
Yeah, like
the
an
underscore
amnesty.
annoys me just because I'm a pedantic man and because
Yeah.
I'm Sniff Petrol one thing on Twitter. But anyway, that's by the by. We are Smith and Sniff. We are on Instagram, aren't we? And there's a picture of us going.
Looking at a
At a
959.
lovely Porsche Museum 959.
Yeah.
I still love a 959.
Now, outside, just before we finish, outside the Goodwood House, there's always a big sculpture.
Yeah.
And no exception this year. Big sculpture, which has probably been battered by 55-mile-an-hour winds. So if
worry.
you've got a near priceless upside down early Porsche 356, or that, no, what was that race car? Is it a 962 that was on?
Yeah.
But it's
Well, we had a
upside
little
down.
bit of an inside knowledge as to what they've done to those cars.
Yeah,
The 962 is entirely wrapped in helicopter tape,
yeah.
including they've used some trickery to secure the windscreen wiper to the screen because it's upside down. If they didn't, it
Yeah.
just flops away and looks rubbish.
And they've taken the engine out.
Oh, have they taken the engine out as
of
well?
the race car because it didn't want to be, even with no fluids in it, they just said you don't want any water ingress.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's not covered by anything and gravity's not doing its thing.
Yeah.
Well, it is, but-
The 356, the seats are not, they don't latch in place.
Yeah, they just fall forward.
So they just flop forwards because they've got a tilt mechanism, and they just flop forward. So they've had to fabricate something just to hold them in place while it's up there.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of clever work gone on, so
Yeah.
those cars look right when they're up there.
But I think a suggestion for Charlie March, anyone listening at Goodwood, I'd really like to see on the lawn outside of Goodwood House just a selection of stationary engines. On, like skipping around on a skid.
Well, we did sort of impromptu workshop a new idea for perhaps it's an additional event at Goodwood because they have Festival of Speed Revival members meeting, but then we're just gonna we've maybe pitched to him soon. Weekend at Charlie's house.
Oh, it'd be
It's a
brilliant.
much more casual event.
So everyone turns up with a dressing gown and a tube of Pringles. I don't know, and a slab of cans.
Bag of a slab of cans, wouldn't it?
Slab of cans.
Slab of cans.
Slabo cans.
Do that thing. They do that at the Bathurst 1000 race.
Oh,
You're
beer
not allowed
hiding.
to. Well, yeah, because you're not supposed to bring in more than a certain amount of beer. But the amount of beer you're allowed to bring in is a slab per day, each
Which is
or something.
unacceptable.
Well, apparently for some people, some Australians go, "What? That's not enough. It's a bloody car race."
Yeah.
It goes on all the time. I'm going to need
And
more
I think
than that.
with
They
the,
do beer
with the
hiding.
dawning of pin drops on phones,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
you can properly mark the spot
Yeah.
of where your beer burial ceremony
Yeah.
took
See,
place.
once squirrels get hold of mobile phones, there can be far fewer oak trees growing unexpectedly in places where squirrels have buried nuts.
Yeah.
Because they'll be able to find them again.
Hadn't thought of that.
Well,
Well, listen, I'm going on the hunt for some Time Warp businessmen
okay.
before I go to bed.
I'm just going to go to bed, I think. But
We don't normally do late night podcasts.
no, we don't, do we?
No,
And
this
it's
is
a bit-
11. This
it's
is 11
interesting.
and-
This is sort of
it's 11.
Smith and Sniff after dark. Is it 11?
It's
Christ,
11
okay.
at night. That's why we're talking.
Well, thank you ever so much for listening. Thank you particularly to listeners who came up and said hello to us in the past couple of days. I don't want to sound like a prick by saying we were inundated, but we did have a lot of people talking to us, which was really, really nice.
It was wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Sorry, because we had a nice chat with a few people, and sorry if we cut short conversations because we were sort of being beckoned over by our film crew and producer to go and do the thing we were here to do. But thank you to everyone who came and say hi. We gave away a load of stickers. That was all lovely. All right, well, we should wrap this up. Before we do, though, I have three things to tell you. One, Johnny has a solo YouTube channel. It's called The Flaky Snake Show, in which
gosh.
Johnny talks to legless reptiles that have skin conditions. This week, having a chat to an adder with eczema. If that's not to your taste, because I just made it up, then there is always The Late Break Show. Lots of excellent videos on there. What have we got coming up this weekend?
Well,
Oh no, you've already done it, haven't you?
yeah,
Or have you got another one on Sunday?
got one on Sunday.
Which
so
is-
if you haven't seen the Ioniq 5N first look, which went out on Thursday, this Sunday's possibly the lightest new car on sale.
Oh, it's that, of course.
It's the little, lovely, sweet, charming, lesser known Pembleton T24.
Yeah.
Really fascinating car, and I urge you, listeners, to go and watch it just to see what you think. Really, it's a really interesting, brand new, old school, 1920s looking V-twin four-wheeled car, like a quadricycle, but not. And actually quite peppy
Peppy.
and well made and eccentric.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be watching that.
And
Thing,
361 kilos.
I still can't believe that. That's nutty.
It's so light.
Second thing I have to tell you is that we are on the Goodwood YouTube channel. So when you finish watching Johnny's Late Break Show video, go over there, Goodwood Road and Racing on YouTube. Our auction video is up there. I don't know by the time you hear this what else might be up there, but there is that.
Probably the
if you haven't
supercar
seen it.
paddock walk.
Probably. I was told that the first glance paddock was a fast turnaround one, so that should be up.
Yeah.
Commiserations to everyone who wasn't able to go to Goodwood on Saturday. We have only just found this out because we're talking to you on Friday evening, but yeah. So it sounds like a bit of a shame. But hopefully Sunday will still be on. And the third thing I've got to tell you is I haven't got anything prepared. Oh yeah, we were talking before about Sweet Child of Mine and the end of that.
Yeah.
Where do we go now?
Where do we go now?
Which we were speculating was inspired by Axl Rose driving round and round and roundabout on the outskirts of Chichester.
It just
perhaps,
not knowing which.
shouting at his wife and kids.
Yeah.
Which exit? But no, that was an ad lib.
Okay.
They hadn't got the lyrics for that bit, and he was just in the vocal booth, just vamping, as you might say, or just ad-libbing, just trying to sort of fill it in. So he'd done the rest of the words, and then he was just like, where do we go now? So he just sang that.
Where do we go?
And they liked it, and it sounded good. So
And then he goes, ay, 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 ay. It's actually the best part of that song.
Yeah, well, it's good. Well, I like songs where there's sort of something that you're looking forward to that's the best bit, but they make you wait for a little bit.
Yeah.
Like the chorus in Fast Car.
Yes.
Or the chorus in Tiny Dancer.
Oh yeah.
Makes you
Or
wait
that
a bit for that.
That just such crisp, neat drum fill in that Simple Minds track. Don't You Forget About Me. That lovely, lovely bit where it quietens down and then the drums just smash back in.
Yeah.
I love that bit. If I sacrifice driving carefully to be able to use both hands to fill that in properly with a tight air drum session. It has to be done. It has to be executed.
Quite spacious production.
You know the ones. Anyway, it's a proper tune.
It is.
It's a proper tune.
All right. Well, anyway, that is enough for this. We really have gone on a bit.
We have, haven't we?
But thank you ever so much for listening. We're looking forward to it. Actually, if you're listening to this on Monday, on Wednesday we will see some of you at our Bicester live show, and then you'll hear the fruits of that. I said fruits.
Yes, low-hanging fruits.
The dark, the strongbow dark fruits of that the following Monday. So see you then. But for now, goodbye.
Bye now. Thanks, please.
Mugs, t-shirts, stickers. Mugs, t-shirts, stickers. Mugs, t-shirts, stickers. We might do hats soon, we haven't decided. This may come as a surprise, but Smith and Sniff have merchandise. You won't believe your eyes. Smith and Sniff have merchandise. Sadly, we don't do pies, but Smith and Sniff have merchandise. One day we might sell ties. Smith and Sniff have merchandise.
Well, this is Smith and Sniff, a podcast. Okay.
Go on.
Shit, hell. Okay, right, ready?